Hi, it's Dale again. Getting ready to do the fork rebuild here. And I've got to apologize. I've already done this once, and I had to take it out of the can because I forgot to turn the microphone on. So hopefully this one here will go better, and I will only do one instead of both. And the seal is already in. Of course, I can't take that out or I'll ruin it. So I'll just, I'll do what I can here. This is how I start out though. I want to check the runout on these tubes before I even start, because if you've got a bent tube, you're either going to have to straighten it or you're going to have to replace it. And straighten it is what you most likely will have to do, because I doubt if you can get them. Franking by forks, they do make them, and you can get them re-chromed out in California. There's a re-chroming place for hard re-chrome out there that you can, if you've got bad ones, you can have them redone. Let me show you what we're going to do. I've just got this setting on two rollers here, and I'm checking the runout. And really, you're okay if you've got around 10 or something like that, especially for something like this. And I'm showing it at, 8, 8.5, something like that. So that's good in my opinion for a project like this. And I also wanted to just show you the chrome that I took out of the dechroming liquid, the Metal Rescue. It did a pretty good job, and of course the backside you're not going to see, but these parts really did come out nice in my opinion. It really does a good job on lightly rusted chrome. So let me get you back up here to the bench and we'll go through assembly of these things. Also wanted to point out these tubes, I put them in the deruster too, and they turned out real good except at the top. They had already eaten through the chrome. I think there'll be enough clamping force available there with the triple trees that should hold fine. But it did take the chrome off and left a little bit of rust right there, but I think we'll be okay. So what we would normally do is you've got your lower tube already cleaned up and everything. What I've got here is just a piece of steel tubing that I cut down on the lathe to fit exactly so it won't get stuck inside the tube, and just put a top on it so I can hammer on it. You can do the same thing with just a socket or something, but I'd like to try to do things a little different if I can. So anyhow, that's what you do. You just hammer that seal in there. Remember here that we've got a washer that goes in, and then a snap ring that goes into the groove. Let me get you over here so you can kind of see what's going on. Hopefully I can do this without, oops. And that's what I get for trying to show too much here. Anyhow, that's what we do, is you just get that snap ring, snap into the groove. And then make sure you put your drain screw in the bottom. Okay, the next thing is to take your dampening rod and you drop that down through the top until it pops out the bottom. What I like to do is put a little grease on here, not very much, just enough to hold this piece right here onto the end, just like that. And then you put some oil on the seal and slide the tube together. All the way down. Yep. I like to take just a little bit of black RTV and make sure you've got a washer here on the end of it. I've got one here. Mine was torn and I had to redo it. So I had some washers, but of course they wouldn't fit, so I had to trim them down. But you always want a little bit of the RTV in there just to keep the oil from coming out of there if it leaks past the seal. Or the washer, rather. And then you just get this started. Okay. Then you want to take the spring and notice that it's tightly wound at the bottom actually and less tight at the top. So you're going to put the tighter wind down. She sits right in there. Okay, we've got put this down here so you can see it. Okay, the fill is 124 cc's, and I'm using the 20 weight. That would differ for whether you're riding hard and it's in the middle of the summer or whatever, the heat and how hard you ride. That's what determines your dampening. So in goes the 124 cc's of fork oil. And it really should be fork oil. It's designed for that. Back in the day, I'm sure I used just motor oil, but we're going to do it the right way today. Now you've got the centering washer that drops in on top of the spring to keep it centered, and then you've got a flat washer that goes in on the top of it, and that's for the adjuster on the cap here. It gives you 3 different places to adjust your and then what I do is I take a little bit of anti-seize and I put that on the threads here just so you don't gall the aluminum into the metal tubing. And you've got a little bit of oil on the O-ring. Now this cap needs to be all the way down, but it doesn't need to be mean tight. Just run it down. And then we need to tighten up the bolt at the bottom, the screw. And again, it doesn't need to be mean tight, just in until it stops, and then a little bit. And while we get this out here, we'll go ahead and put our cap on. A couple of flat washers and a couple of lock washers and our nuts. And we'll give this a wipe down, and then our dust shield. And there you go. So if you want to rebuild them, most of these Japanese bikes in this era are very similar. Some of them have a nut that actually screws on here. You want to make sure that if you're doing one of those that you don't use pipe wrench or something like that on this. You can use, usually a strap wrench is good enough. You can just get a strap wrench to hook on there and pull against itself, and you can loosen that because they're not all that tight. But it's not a bad job, so get in there and do it, and you'll be happy with the job that you do.